Okay, good. Okay. I don't have I lost my glasses somewhere in City Hall, so I'm squinting. Okay, welcome everybody to the Urban Experience Committee meeting for Monday, October 10th. And let's first, I hope everybody's had a moment to look at the minutes of last month's meeting. And can I get a motion to get those approved?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. First up, under discussion items, Steve McDonald from Economic Development and Development Services Center is going to give us a presentation and update of what they've been up to. Steve, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and members of the council. Good afternoon. It's been a while since I've been here, but we have been working on continually revising the reports that we get out of Excella about permit activity and related things. So I'll go to the first slide. So the first thing is about total permits issued. So you can see that, and this is all year to date. So this is through September in each of the years noted up there. Our average, 4-year average has been 3,400, a little over 3,400 permits. We're at 4,276, which is a 23% increase over the 4-year average. And then based on last year, we're up 11%. So next slide. And that's total permits issued as opposed to this next slide, which talks about housing units. So not about permits, because obviously a multifamily permit can have 100 or 200 units with it. So we wanted to start measuring that, and that's what we're doing here. The 4-year average has been 218 multifamily housing units through September of each of the years. We're at 100% increase over that at 437, which is also a 10% increase over last year's September year to date. Next slide. On single-family housing, we're slightly down. We're at 4% under that 4-year average, or about 24%, a significant amount under year-to-date in September of last year. Remember that we've noted in the past that in 2021 there was an energy code change, which did seem to drive a lot of activity early in the year, and that may have something to do with this, but this is something that we need to be watching for the next months through the rest of the year. Additionally, with interest rates continuing to go up, it's likely that we're going to see a decline, particularly in single-family homes, but also maybe in multifamily through the rest of the year.
So Steve,
Yeah.
do you have dollar amounts with those permits that these numbers? Is there a correlation? Or you can
we
get to
do-
that if I'm
yeah.
jumping ahead.
Yeah, we do have dollar amounts associated with them, not in this report.
Okay.
But I will say that just on the Excella thing, we're really digging into finding easier and better ways to pull information out of there. It's been really difficult, and through COVID, we didn't get a lot of support. Now we're working very closely with Excella. We just had a meeting with them. And so we're going to be going through kind of continuing to revamp the reports. I'm looking for something that would be helpful for the managers to have every day, which tells them every day what's going on, and then information that would be more helpful for you guys in kind of a summarized format. So we're working on that right now. It'll take us some additional time. Right now, we've got a couple of experts that are just spending a lot of time digging in there and having to pull information out. It should be much easier. Excel has told us it'd be easier, but we just have to get to those next steps. Yeah.
Just based on the numbers up there, are we counting like tris and quads as multifamily, or are there just no tris and quads?
Yeah, we are. Multifamily is 3 units or more, and then sometimes we break out duplex as well. And when we talk about multifamily, we'll add duplex to that when we're just using the term multifamily.
Well, I think it'd be helpful, especially with BOCA being in place,
Yeah.
to make a different call out
Yeah.
specifically there.
100% agree, and Tammy and I were just talking about that today, and townhomes too. So we are tracking BOCA, but it's not a part of Excella yet, or it's not reporting the way we want it to. But we are tracking separately ADUs and BOCA, and so that we can then build that in. But we do want to have duplex, triplex, quads, townhomes, all the different permutations.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Lori?
Steve.
Yeah.
So when I was being briefed on fire and police and what was happening with IT and those areas, it became apparent that their IT needs were customized, but only a certain number of people knew how to use
Yeah.
the software. So I just want to make sure that going forward, everybody knows how to use Acela, so
Yeah.
that it's not so customized that it works for a few people, and if those people get run over by a bus, that we're up the creek.
Yeah, you put your finger on definitely an issue in the division that had existed for a number of years, where there was a very limited number of people that were running the reports and also coordinating and working with Acela, which was some of the problems. So when those people were out, it was very difficult to get information. Now we've got a different situation. More people are learning, but more importantly, we're communicating with Acela so that we can get the latest updates. We would be really helped by going to the cloud, which we're working with IT on. There's some certain ramifications of that. IT is coming on board with that, and they're participating in our meetings with Acela. Peggy Lund and her team have been great. So yeah, everything's on the right track. It'll just take us a little bit to get it to exactly how we want it. And additionally, I forgot to mention, the real thing that we want to get to when we have like a summary would be to have that on the web page, so that, you know, citizens can go in and look and see what the activity is, the comparisons to prior periods, what's the status of their permit, and this is, that's what we're moving to.
Okay, thank you.
So the next slide, we talked about single-family housing. So the long and the short of it is multifamily is considerably up in number of units, which is important in our situation with housing here. Single-family homes are down. And then the next slide here is just total residential units. So we're talking about both single-family and multifamily on the top of the slide. Which one are we on? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So total residential units, so you can see that our year-to-date, 2022, pretty similar, slightly under by 22 or so from last year, but well above previous periods. So that's all units, multifamily and single-family.
Hey, Steve?
Yeah.
Just for context, do you by chance know what these numbers look like for our neighboring jurisdictions?
I don't, and it's funny you mention that, because at the mayor's economic vitality forecast last week, one of the economists, it was the guy from Avista,
Yeah.
Forsyth, he was saying his information he's getting from a third party was saying there was almost no activity, no building activity virtually in September. And I know that wasn't true, because I know we're busy, and I had preliminary look at our numbers. So I don't know what's happening in county unincorporated or the other cities, and I think he gets his information from a company that just kind of pulls it all together for the whole county. And so
Yeah, there's companies like Construction Monitor.
yeah, that's exactly it. That's the company. So I'm going to be reaching out to them, because their numbers that they reported to him were way off for what we're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, next slide. So then the next slide, this is kind of a new information that I thought would be helpful. It is to us, but also probably to you guys and others, which is housing in the pipeline. So everything I've talked about so far are either permits that have been permitted. So they've paid and they're out starting work on their project, or units that have been permitted in the past tense. These are, talks about both residential units that are in plan review, that's the top part. So if you look at single family and duplexes and multifamily, which is 3 units or more, and you've got a total of 700 units right now that are currently in plan check. And that's pretty significant, and we can't guarantee that all of those are going to get to the end to actually get a permit issued, but that is a significant number, and that's why I was saying we're pretty busy. Do you have a question?
How many of those 3,000 are in that LATAW, in the moratorium area?
Yeah, I don't know if we have that broken down, but Tammy, we can't. I mean, there's not a huge number, but yeah. And the 3,000 is a little bit different again. So the top part of that, the 700, that are actually in plan review. Somebody has their plans together, they've submitted their plans, they're actively being reviewed. The number of units down below, the 3,000, are ones that have not submitted for plan review, but they've either done a pre-development meeting with us and we capture some information, number of units on that, or they've applied for the conditional MFTE designation. So those are less likely that all 3,000 are going to end up being permitted, but certainly between the 700 that are actually in plan review and the 3,000 that have come and at least laid out their plans to some degree or submitted an application for MFTE, that's a pretty encouraging sight. The only caveat I have is if the economy continues with increased interest rates, the amount of those projects are not likely to go immediately through the system. Yes, Councilman.
Did you have a follow-up on that? Sorry.
Yeah, just quickly, because my understanding is that all the permitted ones, the moratorium wouldn't stop them because they've already received their permits, correct? And so of the 3,000, those would really be the ones that haven't received their permits yet. They can still do some platting and some things like
Right.
that, but they can't get their permits. And so I would just be curious to know how many of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. Since the biggest number of this, like if you look at the top part and the ones that are in review, 600 of those 700 units are multifamily, and there's not a lot of multifamily activity happening in that moratorium area. So I think that's an encouraging thing that the 3,000 units, the overwhelming majority are multifamily. So, and that's, but we can give you an exact or a close estimate of that.
And my one last before Councilman Cathcart is, of those 3,000 or the 600 that are up
Yeah.
here, how many of those have either applied or are in the process of receiving the projects of citywide significance permit rebates?
Yeah, I can get that from Terry, how many are there, but I believe she's right at the point to kind of cut off accepting those until we know more information on those projects and can hone in on, we have 150,000 maximum amount. She's being conservative and assuming every one of those
She's gonna
projects
take
is
all
at
of it,
150.
right.
And then when she gets more information and knows the permit fees, then she'll open it back up because they're not all going to be anywhere
Right.
near that level. Yeah. But I think it's roughly like, don't quote me, about like 13 or 15 projects that have come in under that projects of citywide significance.
Do we
Okay, next.
know, just one follow-up, do we
Yeah.
know, so the 3,000 are those that are in pre-dev or have actually gone to the process of pursuing the MFTE?
Right.
But do we have a sense of kind of what's coming online beyond that? I mean, has there been conversation, outreach, engagement that's not quite to that level?
Yeah, usually pre-dev is that first indication that something's serious enough that they actually have and are going to come talk to
Yeah.
the city and ask them about it. So I don't think there would be any way that I'm aware of unless we just hear of some random thing out there.
Well, I guess then I would assume then that
Yeah.
a pretty good number of that 3,000 are in fact the developments on 195 because there's like 2,500 units up there.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure most of them have gone through pre-dev by now. Maybe not all, but
Yeah.
I would assume many.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe most of that 3,000 is multifamily, and so that's the biggest chunk. But we'll get you a number.
Okay.
And then the final slide here just kind of goes through some of the larger projects by construction valuation. And then we just heard some information about, obviously, the airport has another project that's come through for October. That'll be on the next report that we give you. But just a couple of noteworthy ones is that Jubilant Hollister project. That's just one part of a multi-phase approach there. They already had planned to do a $90 million expansion, and then that contract came through with the government, so they're going to be doing another $150 million. So I think this is just one small phase, but it's a large project, and it's going to create a lot more jobs. And I would note the Riverbend Apartments, the third one down, 174 units. That's encouraging. And then down on number 8, there's a Foothill multifamily of 72. Millennium on Monroe just had a grand opening the other day, and that's 46 units in the first phase. So there's some good large
Steve?
projects in the number of multifamily.
On
Yes.
number 3, the 174 units, is that a phased in or did they reduce the number of units that they're, because I thought they were planning for 300.
Yeah, this one says phase 2.
Okay.
So I believe they have significantly more units out there.
Okay.
But they usually come in and phase this and how they pay for the permits and have the plans reviewed. Yeah. And then again, like I said, we're going to be adding the ADUs. I did Tammy was able to tell me that we have 23 ADU projects that have come in since we changed those rules around making it easier to do ADUs. And on the Boca thing, we're going to have to figure out, we're not getting the right information out of Excel on that, so.
Jonathan, did you have a question?
Yeah, just one note on that, because I've been sitting in on the pre-dev meetings. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a fair number of Boca ones that have come in just
Yeah.
from people who've done this. And actually, something fun, for myself and our family, we invest in certain things. And as we've been looking at different lots and land around the city, even on Zillow and those kinds of things, they
Yeah.
even say, hey, this is ripe for a Boca development or
Really?
something like that. Yeah, I thought
On
it was
the
really.
Zillow website?
On Zillow, it says,
Oh, that's
hey,
cool.
based on, Spokane's, you can,
Yeah.
this perfect section for like a double story,
right.
fourplex or something like that.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that.
It was
That's
pretty cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Any other questions? Steve, thank you.
All right, thank you.
So if I understand this right, you're going to do this at every one of
I
the
hope to do
urban-
this every month because
Okay.
once we get the Excel thing, we'll have better information each month that we can deliver.
Perfect. So we'll
Yeah.
just keep you on the agenda.
Yep, sounds good.
Thank you. Next up, Tyrrell Black is going to talk about the building opportunities and choice for all interim ordinance minor amendment.
Thank you. And Steve talked about it a little bit too. So we have two minor amendments that are kind of corrections to the interim zoning ordinance. One would clarify that the density bonus is not available in airfield overlay zones. And the second would clarify that parking between the building and the street is not permitted. These are not affecting any permits that are currently under review, and they're just corrections that have been noticed by staff. And we are proposing to bring this forward as an emergency ordinance, and the reason for that is so that it will go into effect immediately, because we feel these changes are needed immediately. And the date for council action is October 24th. Any questions?
Just for the benefit of anybody watching, essentially, this is how we have interpreted the code since it started, correct?
Yes.
And we're just making
Yes.
further
Yes.
clarifications.
And the airfield overlay is a very small area around Phelps Field, that sort of Parkwater neighborhood. So just want to clarify that that is too close to the airport for the increased density. So, yep.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Thank you.
And we have two sponsors.
Councilmember Stratton and Councilmember Kinnear.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Megan Duvall, talk about Cannon Streetcar Suburb Historic District Update. Streetcar, what did I say?
You did. I think you said it.
I
right?
said streetcar.
Okay, never mind.
I will drag this over. Good afternoon. This is actually an update, but it's also really a first touch for you as council to see this Cannon Streetcar Suburb Local Historic District. My understanding is that the neighborhood group, and Ian White is actually on the video as well, so we can talk to him in a minute, but that they had sent something out asking for council support, and Council Member Stratton, you said, why don't you come and give us an update? And I said, well, maybe I should do the update, and then we can have Ian talk about it from the property owner's perspective. So I'm not going to go into all of this. I just like to remind everybody that it is part of our comprehensive plan to actually create historic districts. And so the final one there is probably the most pertinent. Talking about historic districts and neighborhoods to assist neighborhoods and other potential historic districts to identify, recognize, and highlight their social and economic origins and promote the preservation of their historic heritage, cultural resources, and built environment. So part of our comprehensive plan. So the proposed boundary for the Cannon Streetcar Suburb Historic District, I know that's kind of hard to see, but on the south end, it's kind of, there's not an alley on 13th between 13th and 14th, but it's the north side of that, or it's the south side of 13th would be included. Over to Cedar, down to Walnut. That's 6th Street on the north side. It does bend over to grab the studio apartments, which actually I'll be talking about in a few minutes. And then it sort of curls its way along Lincoln Place over on the, I guess that would be the eastern border. So it's about 500 properties. It's a big district. Considering Brown's Addition is 280 properties, this is about 500. So just really, really briefly, why is it called the streetcar suburb? People are like, suburb? This seems crazy. Because that hill that we have, that is called the South Hill, was really an impediment to development until they started having streetcars and cable car lines. So the development of this particular neighborhood is really tied into the streetcars. And later buses and obviously automobiles, but this is just an early map of the streetcars. So the district was platted in 1883, has lots of different additions in it, but there is still a house in that area from 1888, which Brown's Addition sort of goes, oh, wow, how fancy for you, because they have a lot of older properties than they were up on the South Hill. So the cable car line that went up Monroe, that did start in 1890. Didn't last very long because it's really hard to pull a cable car up Monroe Street. There were only 18 homes that were actually developed in the district before 1899, as opposed to 92 in that same time period in Brown's Addition. And then in 1899, the Cannon Hill car line began operation, and that's what really helped get things up the hill. So that's where it cut across Bishop Court and came up like in the Adams Jefferson area, and the streetcars were able to kind of cut the hill in half, and a lot more development happened. So a biggest development period, which is very akin to what happened in Spokane, 220 homes were built in that district from 1899 through 1909, and then another sort of expansion right after World War II. So just to kind of just show you, I mean, this district has all kinds of different architectural styles. It also has apartment buildings, so everything from neoclassical to mission style to ranch style to the apartments. And then out-migration is something that's just kind of an interesting thing. That was actually when the federal government came in after World War II and even before and during World War II to actually try to get people that had big houses to move out, and they would still own the property, but the government would go in and change them into apartments because they needed places for people to live that were working at Kaiser and then also just returning GIs afterwards. So that was called the out-migration. So oftentimes we see on building permits of homes that were turning into apartments, there is a notation that says emergency out-migration on there. So it's kind of an interesting thing. That showed even early on that was happening. So just to give you an idea, we always have to have what's called a period of significance for districts. And so it's kind of from the first house, in this case, 1888, and we ended that period of significance in 1955. So that's over our 50-year rule that we usually have for individually listed properties. But the reasoning for that is because you can see the drop-off in construction of new homes was pretty significant after 1955. So not very many more homes were built. So we just try to look at a good cutoff place for that. So I'm also not going to get too in the weeds on this, but I just wanted you to see how much public outreach we have tried to do. We did get a grant for this creation of this district way back in 2019. We got $17,500 from the State Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation. If you remember the Wayback Machine 2019, everything was all great. And then right as soon as we sent out our first big mailing to the district with our workshop dates and everything, COVID hit. So we immediately had to send something else out, canceling all of those workshops. So basically, started talking to the neighborhood in 2016. Brown's Addition was full on during that time. So we told them, you're gonna have to wait a little while till we get Brown's Addition taken care of. And so we asked for that grant, started meeting, started doing some things as much as we could. And then when we really had to take a major pause for COVID because we just couldn't do any outreach with the neighborhood. So we started doing some Plan Commission workshops. We've actually done 2 Plan Commission workshops, which is surprising to me because it seems like it was such a long time ago. But so we did this major pause and then got started up again this year. So we did a workshop in May, in June, and July. And I will leave some of this to Ian to talk about when I'm almost finished here. just so that you know, our first couple meetings that we had, out of 500 property owners, we had about 8 people show up. And so by July, we were actually saying, are we really going to do this? Like, this doesn't seem like people aren't engaged. We can't figure out how to reach them. So we had heart-to-heart with a few people in the neighborhood that we knew were really supportive of it. And they door knocked, and we probably had 45 people at the next meeting. And then a neighborhood property owner group was formed, and they've been meeting weekly since July, and I'll let Ian talk more about that. But basically, they have taken on the mantle of this project, and so that's what we needed, is that outreach and group, the green, what am I trying to say? Grassroots effort, green grassroots. So basically, at this point now, we have sent out the ballots. We're in the 60-day period for the ballot, so that ends November 14th. We have to have 289 yes votes in order for the district to move forward. So you won't see it. If it doesn't pass, you won't ever see it again. And so at this point, November 16th, we'll go to the Landmarks Commission meeting and let them know what the vote was. We are already tentatively on the schedule for Plan Commission in December. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was
Yeah,
gonna
no,
ask,
you're fine.
Just, so is this similar or the same process, I guess, that Brown's edition
It
went
is.
through?
It's exactly, yeah.
And so you mentioned just the myriad of architectural styles and designs, but also with this comes pretty strict design standards, does it not? And
It has, yeah, there's
so-
about a 100-page document of design standards.
So how do you mesh?
Can you
the
get a
two?
little closer to your microphone?
Yeah. So
Councilmember?
how do you mesh? How do you mesh the two? If there is no design standard today, essentially from what's there, how do you create one that is going to match what's not really there?
Really interesting, and we can probably workshop this if we get a little bit closer to coming. We should have probably done that with Brown's edition, but so I think we should do that. I will just say that our design guidelines and standards, so we have standards that are like our Secretary of the Interior standards for historic preservation. That's what we've used since the 1980s. The guidelines then help us as the Landmarks Commission and property owners to look at, okay, if I'm thinking about changing my windows, what are things that will be appropriate, what's considered not appropriate, how will the Landmarks Commission look at this? So as you look through our design guidelines and standards books, we actually separate everything out. There's a single family section, there's a multifamily section, well, we don't have commercial really in this district, but we talk about everything through those lenses, and we're not prescriptive. So like when we talk about new construction within the district, we give a lot of examples of different things that are appropriate for a district, and we have a compatibility score sheet that the Landmarks Commission actually uses when we get a plan from an architect that we basically score. Is it compatible? Is it contemporary? Those are the things that we look for. So prescriptive in that we're, roof types, we're not going to look at paint color in this district. We're not going to look at ADUs or garages. Brown's edition did want us to look at those things, except for paint. But Canon decided they did not want us to look at the design of ADUs and garages, so we left that out of the guidelines. So basically, it is a lot of different things, but the general guidelines and standards fit on any of the properties.
And just in terms of the general outreach that you've done, so 500-ish
Yeah.
ballots issued, so probably 500 different houses or places people are living that you sent those to. Were those accompanied by any sort of materials that educated them on what would come along with being this historic district and the impacts that could have on each of them individually?
Yes, and we have a website that's devoted to all of our information is there. And so, including our design standards and guidelines, the nomination itself, all of that is on our website. And of course, every ballot, every letter that we've ever sent out always has that information included.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember Kinnear.
So I want to refresh this saying because I think it's pertinent to this district. And Chris Batten was the first person to coin this. We don't want the Disneyland effect. So this isn't for recreation of this perfect stopped-in-time moment. And all different design styles are necessary to make sure that this is not the Disneyland effect. So, and that keeps going over in my head because people
Faux
have
historic, yes.
Yeah, they have this thing like it's going to be just like Disneyland. No,
Right.
no. not at all.
Exactly. And we have done some new construction review in Brown's Addition just this year because of that tragic fire that happened. It actually opened up 2 lots for new construction. So we have approved one of those buildings so far, and the other one is in process. So, the one that we approved does have a lot of kind of historic nods, but it doesn't look like a historic building. It would be obvious that it's a product of today. So that's really what we look for, is something that fits in, but is contemporary too. So, and then just my last, because ballots are the most important thing that people are concerned about. As I mentioned, when they were mailed, 60 days, we have to get 50% plus 1 yes votes. So if people just don't send in their ballots, it's considered a no vote. So we have to get to 289. Today, I looked at where we're at. We have 160 yes votes. We still have them, and there's a couple days where I haven't had a clerk to catch the mail. So there's probably more ballots in. I think we have 35 no votes that have been returned. So gives you kind of an idea of where we're at. And then I'm going to end that. And maybe if you'd like to hear from somebody that is not me, Ian would like to say something.
Go ahead, Ian. We'd like to hear from you.
Great. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for the invite. Sorry I couldn't make it in. I'm not feeling 100% today, so I stayed home from my office. But I wanted to just speak today from the perspective of the neighborhood. And as Megan mentioned, a group of neighbors came together to really help educate neighbors on what this would do, but really to help educate and help get out the vote information. So I just want to provide a quick update on what we've done to date. We have had a very successful presence at our neighborhood block party in early mid-September, and we have been meeting weekly since, I think early August, on coordinating the effort. We have about 10 neighbors that have come together to help get out the vote and help educate neighbors. We've created yard signs and a banner that's displayed along Monroe Street. We have an email set up so folks can get in touch with us or get in touch with the Historic Preservation Office. But really, we've also engaged in targeted outreach to the 2 main sort of demographics of stakeholders, if you will. One being broadly categorized as sort of investors or non-owner occupied structures, generally a lot of multifamily. And then the other being more single family structures that are often owner occupied, but sometimes not. And we have created targeted mailings for each of those groups that have been sent out. We're planning to hold another 2 education sessions, the 25th of October and the 27th of October. One being really tailored to any of the concerns or questions that maybe investors or multifamily properties owners may have. And we have commitment from Megan's office to be there to help answer specific questions. We've also are working on a door-to-door door knocking effort where we're going to be going and knocking on neighbors' doors and leaving them a little bit of information, some FAQs, a ballot, a little door hanger with some general information. I think for all of us on the sort of the Historic District Steering Committee, I think is what we're calling ourselves, I think we are all pro the effort. But that being said, I think our main objective is really educating folks, getting that awareness out that this is going on, and really just to encourage folks to use your ballot, make your voice heard, and return it, either being yes or being no. And we'll accept the results of the outcome as it stands. But we just want to make sure that apathy doesn't take over and people are educated about the opportunity to make their voice known. I think our effort really believes that we have such an amazing neighborhood. It's diverse in terms of population. It's diverse in terms of density and architecture. And that's something we really want to keep. And I think, personally speaking for myself, I think that this sort of structure really can help enhance and preserve existing structures, but also enhance what it means to be a dense neighborhood, to preserve that neighborhood look and feel and sort of the character and personality that our neighborhood has and has had. That, I think, is what motivates me personally to be involved and to help out where we can. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that. We are very cognizant of we don't want to be considered NIMBYs or anti-density. In no way is that our intent. I know that has been a concern for some stakeholders. Really, for us, it's about what can we do, what can we help get out the information, help educate people about how we think that this effort could really enhance future density efforts in an already very dense neighborhood, to sort of preserve, like I said, these characteristics that we've come to know and come to love about the personality of the Lower South Hill more broadly. So I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns that the council or others may have.
Does anybody have questions?
No, but I want to thank Ian. I helped Brown's Edition with theirs, and it's a big job. So you guys should be, thanked profusely for all that you've done. And I wish you the very best. If there's anything we can do to help you, please let us know. But thank you very much for this.
Yeah, thank you so much for those words, and we'll certainly keep that in mind.
And Ian, I would add to that, thank you for all your efforts. This is a big initiative, but what a great way to get to know your neighbors and get around your neighborhood and talk to folks. So thank you. It's very much appreciated.
I appreciate that. And we, the last meeting, I'll just share, we were stuffing envelopes and licking envelopes and putting stamps on things, and we were drinking some beers and had some brownies at someone's living room. And so it really has been a blessing even if we come up short, it's been a blessing in getting to know 10 of our neighbors more closely, and sharing our dining room table with here at our house and at their house. So yeah, that is certainly not lost on me in this post-COVID world.
Well, we're a little curious about those brownies, but we'll talk offline about that.
Sounds good.
Councilmember, before you let him go, I had a question. I don't know if it's for you, Ian, or if it's you, Megan. I think I got one email from someone who doesn't live in the neighborhood, but they had concerns that the standards that were being looked at would limit density. My sense of the historic district is it's more about the aesthetics of the building design. But are there issues with lot coverage or floor area ratios or other kinds of things that would limit the number of units otherwise allowed on a lot?
Not specifically. The way that we write these guidelines and standards is we want to look at what's right around that property. So if somebody, the interesting thing in this neighborhood is the zoning is all over the place. It's up to 150 feet at the very north side on 6th Avenue. It was single family, but now up to fourplexes, and a lot of multifamily as well. So it's a real mixed neighborhood in terms of zoning. So we don't change the underlying zoning at all. But if something was built lot line to lot line in an area like maybe on 13th, where it's all small single family homes, and you've got something that is proposed to be, I don't know what Tyrell's going to roll her eyes, maybe 35 feet or something, or, if it was going to be really large and overpower what's there historically, maybe we would ask them to set back or do some other things to make it more compatible with the neighborhood. But we do not change the underlying zoning. Okay. Yes.
So is it compatibility with the street or compatibility with the entire district?
Just right around where the actual, we found that in Browns Edition, it was really important to do that because every part of that neighborhood, as well as this neighborhood, they all have different character defining features. Browns Edition is really easy to look and see. There's certain places where there's lots of big apartment buildings. There's places where there's just big mansions with large lots. And then there's other parts of Browns that have little, very small houses on small lots. So we treat every new project as being what is right around it. We're really looking at compatibility right around it, not trying to have compatibility with the entire district. We're just looking at where it is on the map and does it fit on the street.
So then, for example, in that, in the example you just gave, if it was the surrounding area was very tiny homes and somebody had a lot and they wanted to do some sort of Boca development in there and it's not really compatible with that neighborhood, that would be an area where you might step in and say, this isn't acceptable here?
We would probably try to encourage through the design for it to not be as obvious that it was, a fourplex. Maybe there's a way to make it feel more like what's around it in the neighborhood. So I think there's ways with creative architects to actually let anything fit in. You just have to be a little bit creative. So really, yeah, I mean, I don't really think that we would have a lot of places where we wouldn't be able to find a design that worked for a fourplex or something in that neighborhood, or a larger building if you're in the right zoning area. Yeah.
Okay, no more questions on this. Ian, thank you so much for
Thanks,
your
Ian.
input. And Megan, thank you. But
Thanks
we've
for
got
the
you now
invite.
for, thank you.
Thank you.
And Megan, we have you for another
You
topic.
do. See, look at
Your
what happened.
nominations.
I know. Nominations. So usually I'm at briefing. So now we're changing things up a little bit just to make life easier instead of having me just come straight to briefing with no council sponsors and just, the Wild West and historic preservation. I talked to Hannah Lee. We got it figured out. I'm gonna come to the urban experience. The one thing to note here is these properties have not gone before the Landmarks Commission yet. So they will be coming up in October at our Landmarks Commission meeting. But just to start out, I'll go through my typical that I do. The Spokane Register of Historic Places is our voluntary program for local designation. You guys look at the management agreement, basically the contract between the property owner and the city. And we do design review of properties only when a building permit is sought. And this is also how we offer incentives to our property owners. Generally, we have to have properties that are 50 years of age or older, and they have to meet criteria that's in the Spokane Municipal Code. We can list buildings, sites, districts, structures, and objects. We have 5 categories. Category A is broad patterns of Spokane's history. Category B is an association with a significant person. C is architecture, design, or construction. Both of the properties I'm going to bring to you today are both category C. Category D is more about prehistory, archaeology. And then E is our cultural heritage, where a property that maybe doesn't meet other criteria because it's of changes, but it meets a cultural component. Okay, so I'll jump in, and I'll try to be quick, sorry. Built in 1938, the Edwin and Dorothy Matthews House at 1326 South Ballou in the Rockwood neighborhood is an excellent example of Regency Revival style, popular in the United States from 1930 to 1950. Character-defining features of the house include a 2-story, square, box-shaped mass, protected by a shallow pyramid hip roof with little to no eave overhang, symmetrical fenestration, and a combination of painted brick cladding and smooth horizontal shiplap siding. Original decorative saw-cut scalloped frieze designs highlight the home's front door and adjacent facade windows. The property's original windows are distinguished with an Art Deco style influence and are multi-paned with horizontal mutton bars only, so just the little straight bars across. You don't see that very often. In excellent condition with a high level integrity in its original location, design, materials, workmanship, and association, the Matthews House is eligible for a listing on the Spokane Register of Historic Places. So it would be listed under Category C for its architectural significance. The Matthews House was the first home to be erected in the residential Rockwood Vista Addition, a prominently located area adjacent to East Rockwood Boulevard. Prized for its scenic vista sites, the Rockwood Vista addition was soon filled with new homes designed and constructed by prominent Spokane architects and builders. The architect who designed the Matthews House was Spokane master Henry C. Bertelsen, who earlier was a business partner to Kirtland Cutter, one of Spokane's most celebrated architects. This house cost $15,000 to build. The interior of the Matthews House has 3,002 finished square feet on the first and second floors, along with another 1,200 square feet in the basement. The interior of the house includes a formal entry hall, living room, and kitchen with golden oak floors. A focal point is the formal staircase with a decorative newel post and balustrade, kind of unusual. The kitchen and dining room were remodeled in 2021, as you can tell with that envious kitchen that they have. It's beautiful. An addition in 1945 for the original owners was also designed by Bertelsen and included a library den on the rear of the house with a fireplace and added 2 bedrooms to the second floor. And the upstairs includes 5 bedrooms. So Edwin Matthews came to Spokane as a baby in 1906 and graduated from Lewis and Clark High School in 1919 and from Harvard in 1923. He was the president and general manager for Electro-Cold, where he was responsible for numerous advancements in refrigeration and manufacturing. They even have like some old Electro-Cold equipment in the basement where I think they had a soda fountain upstairs, and so they have like the CO tank still down that says Electro-Cold on it. It's very cool. The Matthews House has excellent integrity and original location, design, materials, workmanship, and association. As I mentioned, the Landmarks Commission will review this nomination on October 19th at a public hearing. And so now moving on, the second property is the studio apartments, and I'm really excited about this one. The studio apartments within Spokane's Lower South Hill at 1102 West 6th Avenue is a 2-story building on a raised basement. It is an international style building designed by McClure and Atkinson with associate Bruce Walker and constructed in 1948-49. It has a rectangular footprint and a flat roof, which is extended with slight eaves forming an in-framed window wall on the north glazed facade. That's what you're seeing here. The building is wood frame with a board-formed concrete base. A series of walkways, bridges, a deck, and stairs access the individual units and the ground floor on the south entry facade, creating a complex circulation system. The building has been recently restored to much of its original appearance, and as a result conveys good integrity and is in excellent condition. The studio apartments, these are actually historic pictures from the 1950s taken by Bruce Walker. So the studio apartments originally contained one bedroom unit and 6 studio units that had Murphy beds. In the recent rehabilitation, the upper floor contains 2 two-bedroom units and the 4 studio units remain on the first level. There is a basement which includes mechanical rooms and originally contained an outdoor fireplace and a covered play area. The studio apartments is significant for its design and also for its association with the prominent Spokane architects who designed the building. The firm of McClure and Atkinson, along with associate Bruce Walker, whose parents were actually this is Bruce Walker's parents' apartment. So they had the one-bedroom unit, and this was their furnishing in the apartment. I'll talk a little bit more about who they were. So Bruce Walker's folks were living there, basically. It meets Spokane Register Category C as a property that embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction. Represents the work of a master and possesses high artistic values. So Bruce Walker's parents actually had a women's dresswear company called Roussan's. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I knew you would know, Karen. Roussan's, thank you, yeah, Roussan's. And the construction of their apartment building caused a lot of excitement in Spokane. A January 1949 article in the Spokesman Review entitled "New Apartment Stirs Comment" reported that arts and architecture hailed the building as an outstanding building of its type in America. The magazine announced that few buildings in Spokane are as contemporary as the Walker Apartments will be. Another 1949 article in the Spokane Chronicle posed the question, is Spokane ready for ultra-modern houses and buildings? The architects were assured that Spokanites were ready for such a departure from the norm when all the units were rented before completion of construction in July of 1949. The architects concluded that modernism should be given a chance in Spokane. The international style reinterpreted traditional forms to reflect a new age, new uses, and often a functional interpretation of architectural requirements, particularly with respect to the architectural plan. Roofs were flat, as gabled roofs were considered an unnecessary embellishment. Decorative details were abolished when they were considered superfluous. Windows were ganged to admit plentiful light. The studio apartments was one of McClure and Adkison's first commissions after forming their firm in 1947. Royal McClure and Thomas Adkison had both studied architecture at the University of Washington in the same time frame. They both worked for J. Lister Holmes in Seattle, who was a big developer there. It was also an early project for their associate on the project, Bruce Walker, who had graduated from the University of Washington, but hadn't yet gotten his degree from Harvard, which all three of them had. McClure received his Master's of Arts in Architecture from Harvard University, where he studied under Walter Gropius in 1946. Thomas Adkison, you might recognize the name, his most significant career accomplishment occurred when his firm was placed in charge of the Expo 74 master plan. He has been called one of the essential figures in the fair. And Bruce Walker was born in Spokane, studied architecture at both University of Washington, and was awarded his master's degree from Harvard, also under Walter Gropius in 1951. While in graduate school, Walker won first prize in a joint National Association of Home Builders and Architectural Forum small house competition. That house was actually built and still remains off of Northwest Boulevard today, so for your district as well, Councilmember Stratton. And the Landmarks Commission will be reviewing this property in October as well. So, that's a lot of talking from me. Sorry, you guys.
Anybody have questions?
I do.
What is it about this project that made you so excited about the second one in particular?
So I have to say, the studio apartments, one, that we had these, I mean, who knew in Spokane that we had all of these architects that studied under, Walter Gropius was one of those first international German guys that came over to avoid the war. I mean, just a world-renowned architect, Harvard University, and all of these guys sort of ended up coming back to Spokane. And so the studio apartments being one of their first commissions here, it was super exciting. Bruce Walker, since it was his parents, I'm sure that's how he got kind of on that job, but he also designed the Jolie Ferris House, which is up on 16th, one of the most well-known mid-century houses here. But the other thing about this is that you saw a few of the pictures that were kind of the before, or the condition it was in 2016. Vinyl siding had been applied to the side of it. It had changed into an office use on the top floor, so it wasn't residential anymore. There still were studio apartments on the lower level. So this project, coming in, buying this building that's in sort of prime redevelopment area. The hospitals are close, Shriners is close, Ronald McDonald House is close, Deaconess. We were really worried that as it had gone downhill over the years, that it was really under threat of demolition. And one of my favorite developers, Steve Schmautz, bought it. The Legion Building downtown, SDS Realty. He's done a lot of East Sprague rehabs. So I was really excited when he got it. And his wife is a big lover of mid-century, and she said, we have to do this project. So it's exciting, and it's good that we saved it.
What are the cross streets? I keep picturing it.
I know. When you're going up Monroe, so you're heading south on Monroe, and you go, so Bishop Court is the first one, and that's where the streetcar cut across, and then 6th. Okay. So the top of it is 6th, and Bishop Court is the bottom of it.
And so it's facing north.
It faces north to get a view of the city. Okay. It's got amazing views. You walk in, and the apartments are very small, but they have these expansive views of the window wall, so they're pretty incredible.
Great, thank you.
They're just about finished, so yeah.
Anybody else? So do you have a sponsor?
Thank you very much. Hannah Lee was going to remind me. Lori is, Councilmember Kinnear.
Does she need a second one? Okay,
Just
perfect.
one. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's good information. Finally, on the agenda, Council President Beggs ordinance establishing the city of Spokane as zone free of nuclear weapons.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sure all of you have been approached by the veterans organization locally that is wanting us to look at this. They came to me and I agreed to help them draft it. It's based on an ordinance that exists in Maryland and hadn't been in place for a long time. It does three things. It basically says we're not going to have nuclear weapon production facilities within the city limits. And as Councilmember Kinnear pointed out to me, there's probably low risk of that. And secondly, though, more importantly, it would ask the city to create an investment policy that would avoid investments in nuclear weapons production companies. So it doesn't mandate it, just says to create a policy. And then the third is the city would avoid contracting with nuclear weapons producers unless it was the only reasonable source to get the goods and services. And it's pretty self-explanatory, but just bringing it to committee.
Go ahead.
So two of those things are probably won't happen. The only one that's really significant is the investment, I'm guessing. Okay.
Yeah, and on that, I sit on the CSRS board, and I was talking to them about this, and I know that they have some concerns with this, and I don't know if you've been able to connect with them and talk through their concerns, but
I've sat on that board, so I know that I know the concerns, and I will note this. It just says to create it, so it would be in conjunction with them because we don't. I think their concern, if I understand it, is they don't want to minimize investment opportunity for a retirement fund.
Right.
So, and this comes up. You got oil issues. It comes up, or fossil fuel issues, and different things. So, what I liked about this, and I believe it was language that I added, was that it did not mandate it. It just said, let's sit down and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add, I'm looking for some feedback. We sent a note to the current commander at Fairchild and then a past commander out there, just looking for some feedback from their point of view of any unintended consequences of the ordinance. So
there is a clause very near the end that says nothing in this will interfere with Congress's power to provide for the common defense. So I think that would probably cover most of those, but I'm glad you reached out to them. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Just one other thing. What about the railroads and potential transport through the city? Is that affected?
That does not appear to be impacted by it because it's production facilities, not the transportation through the city.
Okay.
I don't know this for a fact, but I think it would be unlikely that it would be transporting nuclear warheads via train or truck.
Right, probably not the fissionable materials themselves, but different pieces of weaponry could be.
Where would they be going?
I'm not entirely sure. Off the top of my head, I couldn't name one nuclear missile
I can name
facility.
one though.
Yeah,
just Bangor
Oh.
submarine base.
Yeah, Bangor.
Yep.
I was thinking Kansas, but okay.
Oh.
sure, there's many of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions?
I'm looking for another co-sponsor, so I don't know if anyone's
I'll do it.
okay. And we also, for the two new council members, we not that long ago did a resolution very similar in parallel that became the policy of the city, just not an ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
Any other business comments, questions? No? All right, that does it for our meeting today. Our next meeting will be November 14th, and be sure if you have items you want to get on the agenda, get those to us sooner than later. Appreciate everybody being here. Thanks.
Thanks for using Web.